Hello, hello, got Miss Ruby here, and today we're switching up, having a little bit of fun, but also having fun with something that we need to work. So the first thing that we taught her was spin. Very fun trick, very easy. We love teaching tricks just because it's nice to broaden their vocabulary. It's also really, really good confidence builder for fearful dogs because a lot of times they figure out that the tricks is what makes their owners happiest. So when you start to incorporate this in everyday life, it helps them kind of shake off some anxiety, something I do with my own dog. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you what this looks like. Very simple. We're gonna start with the lure. Let me go ahead and grab this clicker back on so you can see the process exactly. So I have a lure right here, got her sense of smell, and I'm just literally going to curve towards her bottom and loop her around. When I get a full circle, I click and I give her a treat. Gonna do this a few more times. So again, got a lure. And with a little one, it's very easy to do this because you can just literally sit exactly like I'm doing and curving her around. Good. Typically, when you're doing this, you're going to want this arc to be very tight. So if you go too wide, you don't want her necessarily walking it because it's not really spin. Spin is really where she's kind of, it looks like she's chasing her tail. So you really want to make that as tight as possible. So you'll see I've really, now she will sometimes lay down, so sometimes you kind of want to get her to move a little bit before you get into the motion. I hope that makes sense, because if she's already stationary, she may hold her butt down and it would still be spin, but it'd be like a really weird like butt spin. We don't want that. We want her to be moving the whole time. Yes, good girl. Okay, so she's getting a swing of this very well. She picked up on this very fast. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you what this looks like without the lure. So now it's just my hand, and I'm gonna turn this into what the hand signal would be, which would be this eventually, but I'm still gonna like slow it down. So she's following my finger, and then eventually it'll be just like this twirling motion. Okay, good girl. And right there, that was kind of that example of it. She was still holding that sit, and it was kind of wonky. I let her have it, but I do want her to be moving just a little bit more. Good job. So again, she's just following my finger, and I am very slowly bringing this finger higher and higher above her head and making the signal less exaggerated and more what I want it to be, which will eventually just be a twirl of your finger like your Harry Potter or something. This time with the lure, no lure. Yes, good job, good job. Good girl. And now that I feel like she's getting a nice swing, I'm getting a pretty consistent response to the visual cue, which is that twirling motion. We'll continue to make it smaller and smaller. Yes, good job. Now I'm going to go ahead and attach the word, which is spin. Very easy. Spin. Very good. And again, if you can't tell in this video, if she is facing you as you're practicing this, you are trying to get her to go left. So her right. So if you're looking at her, your hand, your arm is kind of like doing a left kind of like motion.
She's following.
Good girl. Good job. There we go. There we go. There we go. I guess I better is clockwise. It's clockwise.
It's clockwise.
Clockwise.
It's clockwise, yes.
There we go. Not counterclockwise. Clockwise. There we go. Good. Go ahead and attach the word again. Get a little distracted. Spin. Yes. Good job. Good. Spin. Good job. And one more. Spin. Good job. And as you can see, I have just been doing this seated. I'm going to try this one time standing up. She's never done this with me standing up, so she may get a little confused. So let's go ahead and see what this looks like. Ruby, spin. Good, and she generalized as well, so she figured it out. It's just, you're standing, you're seated. She did learn this seated on the carpet, so when you are doing this standing, just know that's a little bit different, but she did figure it out for her on her very first try. Okay, so moving on to the very next portion. So now what's going on is we do need her to touch this bell in order to signal that she needs to go potty, but she has to learn to touch the bell first. So what we were doing is we were presenting her with the bell, and she was getting a little bit nervous. I think it's just kind of like her baseline, like she's kind of suspicious of items in general. She thinks we're gonna like poke and prod her and touch her with things. This is not this item, but she doesn't know that. So what I actually did was I put this away to begin with, and I taught her to go ahead and touch my hand, much like when you teach shake. Now, my goal today was not to teach her shake. I do want her to exhibit this behavior to paw the bell, but whenever we start bringing the bell into play, I am going to be willing to allow her to either paw the bell or just to touch it with her nose. Either way, she's going to get treated if she in fact rings it. First things first, what I'm doing here is focusing on just the pawing action. So I have a lure, I'm gonna close my fist. Ruby is extremely specific with her visual cues. What I mean by this is, if your fist is not in a proper position, she may think this is down if it is tilted this way. A lot of dogs don't pick up on that, but she is very keen to exactly what her visual cues are. So make sure that she's offering spin.
She's like, excuse me.
She's like, hello, you like this thing? So make sure that you're very clear in the hand signals that you're giving her, or you may confuse her. So I'm gonna go ahead and let me lure her so you can see her just a little bit better. And again, I got this, there we go. So I just kind of close my hand. I keep saying my paw.
Yes.
My hand around the treat. She's touching it, I'm clicking it, immediately giving her the treat. Here we go. I'm not saying anything at all because this is not going to be the behavior. The behavior is going to be her touching that. So we're just shaping a behavior. I'm just encouraging her to use her paws, to teach her that she can, in fact, use her paws for good. Can you use your paws for good? Good. Good job. Good. So now that I have a nice healthy flow with that, I'm doing this pretty quickly in this video because we have already been practicing this, but when you practice this, you can take a much slower pace if you like. It's really up to her. Now that we've got a nice flow, I'm going to go ahead and bring the bell into place. She can now see it, but I'm going to do the same exercise with my fist hovering over the bell this time. Yes, good job. Yes, good job. Yes. Girl, one more. Good. And now that I'm doing this, I'm going to go ahead and start lowering my hand. Now, because she gets a little bit nervous about the bell, the object, I'm going to put a lure back into my hand just to make sure that we keep a nice healthy flow of progress, essentially. So bringing my hand lower to this bell, and this time I am not going to click unless I kind of get her paw touching it. So right now she's really offering to touch my hand, and this is where you have to be careful in how you position your hand. I am facing it upwards, not down, because if I face it down, she may offer me down. I don't want that. Yes, very good. So she's figuring out, she's constantly pawing it, but I'm not clicking until I hear a sound. So this part in particular is the hardest part. You have to be very, very patient. Yes, but if you stay quiet and you stick to the process, she will figure it out. And it seems like something that would be easy to figure out, but don't worry about that. This can be a little tricky for some dogs. That's fine. She tips it over. I'm gonna let her
excuse me. I'm hitting the
thing. That is actually the sense of urgency.
She's like, excuse me, I'm hitting the damn thing.
Yes, good job. And eventually what I would do is I'm eventually trying to just point to the bell so that I don't even have to signal her to do this. I would like this to be an offered behavior because eventually this is going to be an offered behavior paired by the front door to tell you that she needs to go potty. So as you can see, this is quite a process. She's got to touch the button first. Yes, very good. This time I did not have a fist. It just looked like a traditional lure. So as you can see, if my hand is positioned a specific way, she ends up offering me down. I'm going to release her, giving her a treat that way, and try again. Yes, very good. Very good, Ruby. Very good. Yes, he's a genius. She also responds extremely well to baby talk. So because this is a little tricky, make sure that you let her know that she's doing it right. So she just gave me down again. That is not what I want. So I'm going to free her and just kind of throw a treat. Try again. This is pretty lighthearted training, so yeah, good job. She's a genius. She's a genius. That's fine. This time it wasn't her paw, it was her face, but it still made a noise. So again, what we're looking for is her to make the bell ring. Yes, good job. No lure. Let's see what happens. Looks like a lure, but there is not a lure this time. Okay. So that did, again, whenever there's no lure, sometimes it looks like the hand signal down, so you have to be careful when you're playing with that. Let's try again. So she's not ready for it without a lure yet, and that's totally fine. So this process that you're seeing here, continue to do it. I'm going to go back to release her, show you once more what it looks like with the lure. She's not quite ready without the lure, but that doesn't mean that you don't try it and keep practicing. Yes, towards the goal of using it without the lure. Eventually, you would just point to it or kind of place your hand near it so that she would ring it without the lure. That is the goal. But she's doing great, very excited. You have spin, which is a whole lot of fun. Try that anywhere. Literally try it as you're doing leash stuff, kind of keep things lighthearted. And of course, continue to practice, try and get her to ring this bell. That's huge, get her to ring this bell. But yeah, let us know if you have any questions. See ya.